You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel.
I'm Clint. We got them 3 boxes today. Justin from Justin B. Tweetin _ at Twitter. Justin, how you doing, man?
Doing great, guys. How about yourselves?
Fantastic.
Doing fantastic. I mean, national champions. I mean, I see it right there on your shirt.
The shirt, right? Yeah. Every day has been great since you've been a national champion.
I was just going to ask you, what's an off season like for a national champion for you, Justin? What are you filling your time with?
I mean, I probably.
By the way, today's episode brought to you by Stat Hero. No. Today's episode brought to you by Stat Hero. Justin, how's it been being a national champion? Rewatching the game every day.
Yeah, like I was telling Daniel, man, I probably rewatched the game at this point like 40 times. Not the whole thing, I probably just skipped to like the third quarter and watch it from there. First quarter, not a lot of fireworks, but that third and fourth, man, I can watch that for the rest of my life. But
and will watch that for the rest of your life. That's absolutely right. Absolutely. Enjoying being a national champion. If you're just joining us on YouTube or on audio, welcome. This is the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Clint and I are Georgia fans. Justin is a Georgia fan. That's what this podcast is. It is for fans, by fans. We're not trying to be anything that we're not here. There are no such thing as gurus or insiders. We are just Georgia fans. We're here to talk like Georgia fans. And so if you're wondering why we sound so much like Georgia fans, it's because, wait for it, we are Georgia fans. Now, somebody in the comments quickly talk to us about how we should just give more stats and not spend as much time on random fluff conversations that don't matter. But we're telling you that's what we're doing on the podcast. That's the point of the podcast. So welcome to those of you watching on YouTube. Drop us a comment, subscribe, hit that thumbs up, the bell, whatever. If you're listening on audio, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Locked On Bulldogs. We are here every single day. If you're just joining the show, you might think this is just every once in a while. Maybe you just found this because you're interested in NFL draft prospects or you're interested in next year's Georgia Bulldogs roster or whatever. But we are here every single day. There's a whole catalog of episodes on audio and video that you can go back and watch and subscribe to get more of. So, gentlemen, today, let's jump into a new week by doing this. The NFL Combine been making all the headlines these last few days.
I'm sorry. You mean the runway that is UGA prospects? Is that what you mean by the combine?
That is it. I believe it was just a showcase.
Scouting Combine national champions.
They held it in Athens, I believe, the combine this year. I've not been informed that there were prospects from other schools participating in the combine. But I mean, maybe there were, maybe there weren't. It's hard. It's impossible to say at this point. But the NFL Combine making headlines, a lot of Georgia players turning some heads, a lot of Georgia players giving us some quotes, some very interesting things. If you wanted to fill an episode with just things that George Pickens said at the NFL Combine, you could probably do that. That's not the particular theme of this episode, but listen, what we are going to do is we're Georgia fans, and so we're going to talk about this from a Georgia fan's perspective. We're losing an immense amount of talent, Justin. That's obvious. We do this every year. We lose talent every year, but particularly this season, it feels like Georgia's got a chance to have as many first-round draft picks as we've had in a long time. Certainly days 1 and 2, Georgia is going to be sending a lot of people through the draft in rounds 1, 2, and 3, the first 2 days of the draft. So losing a lot of talent. The question is, who are we going to replace that talent with? And so we're just going to rattle through some names. We're going to go through, talk about some prospects, and then we're going to talk two things. We're going to talk about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is it going to be for Georgia to replace this person? Now, when we say replace this person, we might mean production on the field. We might mean leadership. We might mean intangibles. We might mean very specific things that they bring. That's sort of up to us. And then second thing is, who's the most likely candidate? to replace this person. So I'm going to start with the first name, and it's a name I already mentioned, and it is Jorge Pickens, the great George Pickens. Number one in your playbooks, number one in your hearts. Leaving Athens, you could say it's been a bit of an up and down career for George Pickens. Down because there were some injuries that hampered him significantly. But man, when he was on the field, he was special, a special type of wide receiver. And so, Justin, I'm going to throw to you. How difficult is it going to be to replace a guy like that?
Yeah, I feel the same way about Jorge, man. He burst into the scene as a freshman back in 2019, kind of sharing the spotlight with Cager. And as a freshman, it's a lot to put on him to say to carry the whole team, but he did a great job of it. Had that great Sugar Bowl as well. And 2020, was a weird year where COVID had impacted everything, and then he comes into 2021 with a torn ACL. But it all wrapped up in a national championship. So I feel like we never got to see the full-fledged George Pickens that we could have gotten otherwise. But going forward, I feel great. I feel in great hands with A.D. Mitchell. Another big body receiver, fast, good hands. He's played on the biggest stage and shown us what he can do. I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do next year as our true number one wideout. And we got some other a great cast around him too. So I think A.D. Mitchell is the guy who's going to step in and fill those shoes for Jorge.
I really like that because a lot of people eyes and just kind of pure speed, you'd go to Brock Bowers, but Brock is going to get the ball in his hands early, right? You want to get the ball in his hands and then let him run after the catch. A.D. Mitchell, that guy's going to run routes, get behind defense, and then the ball is going to come to him a la in the championship, what we saw, as well as sideline kind of toe touch, toe tap type situations that Jorge. I like that fraction of the passing game going to him. Brock is certainly going to get his, and he's an all freak athlete as well, but a very, very different type of all freak. I like that a lot. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it going to be for AD to fill George's shoes?
No one's he's not George Pickens. I mean, we haven't seen a player like that since AJ Green, and I don't know if we'll see another one like that for many years to come. So I don't want to say it's a job of him filling his shoes because he's just not going to do that. But I think from a production standpoint, he can give us what George gave us, just because George didn't give us too much last year. So I'd say a 3. But if we're talking production, if we're talking talent, I mean, who knows what his ceiling is for AD, but if we're talking talent, it's going to be like an 8 to fill Jorge's shoes, man. Yeah.
I do think there's a thing. I'm glad you bring up AD Mitchell because I don't know. Have you heard this, Justin? There's a thing going around certain circles of Georgia fans that like AD Mitchell has the drops, like the AD Mitchell can't catch. Have you heard this? I've heard this from multiple people that you got to watch it.
Like early on, I think it was just inexperience. But I mean, if the playoff run did nothing else,
exactly.
It completely made me comfortable with this guy can be that guy for us going forward. Like the touchdown he's against Michigan, his route running is really I think disrespected. People don't realize how good of a route runner this guy is. He had a play against Auburn last year right on the goal line. We kind of hit a little stutter step, turned back towards the goal line, and just completely lost the DB. Easy touchdown. We're going to see a lot more of that going forward from him. And so I've got confidence in the guy. He can catch. He's good.
Great, yeah, I think I could not agree with you more. And I'm glad you bring that, like games like that, specific instances like that Auburn game into play. It does not bother me when I see a guy drop a few, because listen, if I had a nickel for every ball Terrence Edwards dropped while he was at Georgia, I wouldn't be recording this podcast right now. Like, you understand? Like, I wouldn't need to do this ad read that I'm about to do.
We've come so far. Can you remember the days when we were relying on guys like Tyler Simmons and Chigbu to be like our frontline number one receiver? Like,
why you got to do us like that?
I remember Tyler Simmons running an end around, but I don't remember him ever being a number one receiver.
Okay, look, I'm gonna before we go off the rest, Jimmy C, James Cooley is gonna come. BetOnline, Daniel, hit us.
BetOnline.net is the sports book that Clint and I go to when we want to place a wager. And let me just tell you, it is wager placing season. Conference basketball tournaments are this week. March Madness starts next week. And so if you're not prepared for the most prolific gambling time of the year, BetOnline is the place to go. They are the sportsbook Clint and I trust. They're the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Easy, safe, reliable. Go there, betonline.net. Enter the promo code Locked On. You get a bonus on your initial deposit. That way, when you deposit money, they give you free money, and you have more money with which to bet and win. Props, over-unders, spreads, parlays, money lines, whatever you want, betonline.net has it. They got a great mobile site. They've got a great desktop site. And so get over there now. Get ready for March Madness at BetOnline, your online sportsbook expert.
Not only that, but Run Your Pool is going to be your brackets central. We don't want normal or usual or rundown old ways, Daniel, right? We're going to start thinking about brackets now. Doesn't sound right. We're not going to go for usual. We're going to go for the best. And the best is at runyourpool.com. Along with standard brackets, Run Your Pool offers game types like Survivor or Pick X, both really fun in their own way. They have option to edit scoring even, which is very, very important. And they
is that like edit scoring so like it can seem like I'm winning? Is that like what that means? Like I can, if I'm in a pool with you and Justin, and you guys are killing me, I can just be like, edit the score.
I am not going to give you admin privileges. This we already know. Okay,
I don't.
That
ain't
happening.
I do not deserve them.
They have option to edit scoring. They even offer more intel to make your picks, all your stuff that you won't find over at ESPN or CBS. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Picks or Run Your Pool because, like we said, we're running our brackets over there. There's no truer test than that. If you want to play against us for a shot at cash prizes, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. While you're there, create your own pool for you and your friends and family. Enter Pure Madness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon.
Jorge Pickens, next prospect we're going to.
Here's the next prospect, and I think Jorge is great on offense. I'm going to go with another physical freak on defense, and we got a lot of them. Okay, so we're going to come back.
Which one you going to go with?
Yeah. So, I'm going to go with the most freakish based upon metrics, and a bunch of metric nerds are going to get out there and be just. I know.
Which one?
I know. The second most freakish player to come out of the draft, Calvin Johnson, is the only other one that beats him. Okay, so body, size, speed, jumping, acceleration, all of that gets put into a metric, and this metric comes out and gives you a number. Calvin Johnson topped that list, and if you all don't know what Megatron can do on a football field.
In NFL history, you're saying in the history of the combine, Calvin Johnson graded out as the greatest athlete to come through the combine.
Yes.
Okay.
And many would
now
say
number 2 in NFL history.
There you go. There's the framework for it. His name is Jordan Davis, y'all. Okay. So, hey, all you fans, Florida fan, talking about how he couldn't start at Florida. How y'all doing? Bama fan saying he was gassed in the SEC. He don't look gassed running faster than Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield.
Okay, he don't look gassed wearing that ring. I'll just tell you that.
No, he don't. No, he don't. So the question is, who is the most likely to replace the second greatest physical freak to ever come through the NFL Combine at Georgia? Justin, who's going to replace this guy?
This is easy.
Okay.
I mean, everyone out there knows it is Jalen Carter, guys. And the crazy thing about it is Jalen Carter is better than Jordan Davis. Jalen Carter is our best, is the most talented defensive lineman that we had on the team last year. And he's coming back. So,
okay.
I mean, I'm excited for him. Another year under the belt, another year of experience, but his talent is off the charts, and I'm looking forward to seeing him be the star of the show. It's not going to be the same because he doesn't have Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt to kind of spell him a little bit and kind of share some reps, but the guy's got all the talent in the world. He's going to be first team SEC, all of that.
Yeah. The Jalen Carter.
I do think the run support and the eating up blocks that Jordan Davis does behind the scenes, dirty work, doesn't get the headlines, not flashy plays. He's not just whipping people off the line of scrimmage like we know Jalen Carter can and will do. But the way that Jordan Davis anchors down that middle, He's the reason nobody could run the ball against Georgia last year,
Yep.
period.
Yep.
And nobody could run the ball against Georgia last year, period. And he's the reason for that. I don't know that is replaceable. And I don't know. And I think if you're going to go into this season with a concern about the Georgia defense, it shouldn't be a huge concern. But if you're going to have one, it should be our ability to stop the run. Because I think the secondary, I think we would all agree, probably is going to be drastically improved. And I think we're replacing a lot at linebacker, but we've got a lot of talent to replace them with at linebacker. But that middle of the defense ability to stop the run, I do think you'll see a guy like Nazir Stackhouse get some more opportunity. When I think about a guy to replace that specific aspect of Jordan Davis, not in terms of the best player on the defensive line, but in terms of the guy that's going to stand in the middle, eat up blocks, and try to use some gargantuan size to his advantage. I think you'll see a guy like Nazir. But it's going to have to be by committee, I think, Clint.
Yep.
You're going to have to replace a guy like Jordan Davis by committee because, quite frankly, he did the work of 2 to 3 men in there on the defensive line.
Yeah, Jalen Carter is going to be a guy that's going to collapse that pocket. If you watch the Michigan game, if you watch the Alabama, Jalen Carter is going to be somebody who wreaks havoc out there. But as far as not only wreaking havoc, but keeping linemen occupied as well, that's the thing that's really unique. And Jordan Davis was able to do both. Jalen's going to be knifing through people, just demolishing them. I guess occupying an offensive lineman counts if that offensive lineman no longer is standing on his feet. I suppose that counts as
he's occupied.
Something. He's
I would
occupied.
say don't sleep on Bear Alexander either, guys. In terms of just being a big body run stopper, I think Jalen Carter is the one that comes to mind because he's exciting. He's the pass rusher. He's the one that's going to get you to sacks. But I think in terms of plugging that hole that we're going to lose from Jordan Davis, and we're never going to get that guy again, right? Daniel's hit it exactly on the head. We're never going to get that level of production. But Bear Alexander is one I was really excited to see that we got him back from Texas A&M, especially with all that's going on in their recruiting circles. We'll need to get into that tonight. But yeah. A little of that. But it's legal now. It's legal now.
It's a gray area.
Hold on. Whose definition of legal? Because Jimbo would like a word.
Jimbo's.
Oh yeah, Jimbo wouldn't even admit it, right? He's all our recruiting staff put in a lot of hard work recruiting this class. All right, Jimbo. Yeah, man. All
okay. Right. Yeah. Free crab legs for everybody. Free crab legs for everybody.
Hey, we're going to come back after this. Talk about on a scale of 1 to 10, just how much Jalen Carter as well as Bear Alexander, what's the 1 to 10, the ability that they have to fill it. Those are the people that are going to come in instantaneously. How likely are they going to be in filling it? But first, want to continue to let you know about March Madness and how incredible it is by letting you know about Stat Hero. Stat Hero is your daily fantasy sports place to go. Right now, you can make any lineup you want regarding March Madness. And March Madness, it's a pretty big deal.
Is it?
Daniel, let me try again.
Okay.
Are you not taking PTO off for a game?
Okay. Not a game. 16 games in one day.
There we go.
16
there
games.
It is.
And then the next day there's 16 more games. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So it's a big deal, y'all.
Yeah.
Stat Hero is NCAA single game pick'ems pit the star players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take back control from the handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on players you know best with gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, and funky props. In addition to their pick'em games, they also have a dozen or so lineups you can comb through and take on head to head. It's simply the best set of players you can take against the best set of players you choose. Stat Hero is the easiest and fastest way to get your sports action fix. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code locked on for 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code locked on for 100% match. Stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code locked on. Terms and conditions apply.
Also want to let you know about Built Bar, the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. I assume they have something to do with March Madness because all the other ad reads do, but Built Bar is just the thing that you should eat while you're watching March Madness because it's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They come in a wide variety of delicious flavors, all of which can be found at BuiltBar.com, all of which are high in protein, high in fiber, low in sugar, keto approved or good for whatever meal plan or meal replacement strategy you are on. And all of that adds up to them being the right choice for you to grab when you're in that afternoon lull and you need a snack, you need something on the way to work, on the way home from work, on the way to pick up the kids, on the way to the gym, on the way home from the gym, whatever you need, Built Bar is there. It is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Chocolate flavors, fruit flavors, a wide variety, as I said, of delicious flavors. Clint and I have tried them all, and we think they are all delicious, and we know you will too. BuiltBar.com, enter the promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15 at BuiltBar.com for 15% off your first order of Built Bar, the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth.
Jalen Carter is all worldly when it comes to skills. He is twitchy. He is fast. He bends around the edge. Bear Alexander is a big body guy who also gets that pocket to collapse. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are they to replicate what Jordan Davis did? Daniel, you said that run, that occupying as well as penetrating, that dual responsibility, which is admittedly hard. Scale of 1 to 10, Justin, how likely are those two or one in replicating Jordan Davis?
Replicating it, a 5. He's just too big, man. You can't do it. But even though I say it's a 5, I think that there's other things that we can get from those guys that maybe Jordan Davis didn't give us as much of, and that's the pass rush. And Jordan Davis admitted this at the combine. He said, I've been working on my pass rushing skills since the national championship. He realizes that wasn't the biggest flashiest part of his game, but that is a part of Jalen Carter's game. And so maybe we'll have a few more runs going up the middle, but might give him a few more sacks on the side as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the thing that comes to mind that's gonna be a 1 or a 2 on possibility of replacing, was Jordan Davis not the heart? I know we had other guys that were leadership quality. Okay, I know Nakobe Dean, Lewis Seen, Channing Tindall, like leaders upon leaders. But it seems to me that when you look at the combine and you look at whoever's in the middle of all that group of people, Nakobe's doing his thing where he's clearly a vocal, but Jordan Davis is like the heart and soul of that community. That's the thing that's going to be missed. For crying out loud, the man was just an honorary redcoat, just leading the band after games. Because I mean, what football player that is his size, his speed, his freak athleticism goes out there and does that? Comes back and gets a ring. Him and Devontae Wyatt are two sides of a similar coin. I think that's a 1 or a 2 for these Bear Alexander and Jalen Carter to replicate that. That's a special dude. Okay, he's got a special place. Damn good
I think
dog.
we'll get a little bit of that from Nolan. Nolan's that guy now. He was the elder statesman. He's from that 2019 class, got a ton of playing experience, and comes back this year to kind of give us that leadership that we did get from guys like Jordan Davis last year. I think Nolan can step up and really be that guy.
I think when you look at on the field production, fellas, I want to call you back a few years and bring up a name that maybe you haven't thought of in a while that maybe you should have. That 27 defense is pretty special. Do we agree on that? That 2017 defense, sorry, okay. 2017 defense, pretty special group. Oh, yeah. Took us all the way to the national championship game, SEC title. 2018, we had dudes on that defense, right? We had a lot of very talented players on the 2018 defense, but there was something missing. There was something that the 2018 defense didn't quite live up to what we all thought coming out of 2017. And it wasn't necessarily your Roquan Smiths, I don't think, that was the difference, even though you lose a player of that talent, that caliber. I think, and I said this back then, and I'll continue to say it now, I think the biggest difference between the 2017 Georgia Bulldog defense and the 2018 Georgia Bulldog defense was a man by the name of John Atkins. I think John Atkins was the most important player to leave Georgia after 2017, and he's the main reason that the defense in 2018 took a step back. And it's for very similar reasons, because John Atkins provided us with something that really no one else on the roster could. We tried to replace it with like Hawkins Muckle and some other guys, a rotation. Mikhail Carter tried to step in there, but we had guys that they just couldn't do it. And I think that's the fear when you talk about guys like Jordan Davis leaving, is you have guys, you have big bodies, but can they really step in and do? It's one of those things that you realize how good a player is while he's here, but sometimes you don't really realize how good he was until he's gone. And I fear that Georgia may be getting into a situation next year where we begin to really come to grips with the fact that Jordan Davis was a special player beyond all of the intangibles. He was a special player just in terms of the tangibles on the field, much like a guy like John Atkins was in 2017.
I don't disagree, Daniel. That is so true. But Justin, to your point, Jalen Carter, like if you all get upset at Justin for saying the most talented player on the defense, stop.
I chose that word carefully. Most
wasn't
talented.
even. It's not even
best.
disputable.
Yeah.
It's not even disputable what he said.
Nope.
You don't even have an argument.
Nope. Trayvon Walker may have just catapulted himself several draft spots. But you want to talk about a lock for a top 5 draft pick next year? His name is Jalen Carter. And
I got people trying to tell me that Trayvon Walker is going to get drafted before Nakobe Dean.
We're actually going to talk about that. I later this week I want to talk about that because somebody just said at the combine, talking to scouts there, he locked up. The term was locked up a top 5 pick, Trayvon Walker. And I thought,
making himself some money.
Ooh, that's Texas A&M type money. That's what that is.
Not that much.
All right. Hey, look, we got plenty more prospects we're going to cover. We got plenty more guys that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some more NFL combine freaks and who Georgia might replace them with. We'll be back with that tomorrow. Justin, thanks so much for jumping on board. Follow this man on Twitter at Justin B. Tweetin _. He's always down for a great back and forth. If you're a Florida fan, if you're an Alabama fan, listen, this man would love to engage with you. He would love to engage with you.
I'll just be sitting here eating popcorn watching you, Justin.
Yeah,
just know that. I'm watching.
That's right. He's Clint. I'm Daniel. We are the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
See you.